Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about more entries into the transfer portal for Alabama. 6 more players entered yesterday, so we're going to be talking about that on today's show. Plus 1 target also out there for the Crimson Tide. And I know it's been a disappointing season for Alabama this season with 3 losses. Going to a bowl game, that really doesn't matter. But if it's Roll Tide till the day you die, make sure you like today's video for me right now. All right, yesterday we had, the college football playoff rankings reveal and everything like that. And once Alabama found out that they would not be going to the college football playoffs, we got a flurry of portal entries to discuss today. Kendrick Law, Caleb Odom, 2 wide receivers have hit the portal for Alabama. Miles McVay, Danny Lewis Jr. at that tight end spot. Hunter Osborne and Naquil Betrand are the latest players for Alabama to enter the transfer portal. Of course, the transfer portal officially opens up today, so those guys were reported yesterday, and they should be going through the process today of officially hitting the transfer portal. So we're going to keep the verbiage here as expected to enter the transfer portal, although there are some players who have probably filled out their paperwork by now. But, until those come out, we're just going to run with the verbiage as expected to enter the portal. Let's start off with those wide receivers here, Kendrick Law and Caleb Odom. Look, 2 guys you definitely don't want to lose to the transfer portal, but was it really not expected? We kind of talked about Kendrick Law as a possibility to enter the portal just with his usage this year. He just didn't get the ball that much. When he did get the ball, he was pretty good, averaging about 10 yards per reception there, but really the only thing Alabama really ever did with him this year was run those end arounds. And, he was used really a lot as a blocker for Alabama. Very good on the perimeter blocking wise, but I think with his skill set, he could have been utilized a whole lot differently. Caleb Odom as well, you saw back during the season, he kind of, retweeted some beat writers out there about his usage and, lack thereof, I guess. So, it really sucks to lose both of these guys, but you kind of got to look at it at the grand scheme of things. The offensive production for them this year was only about 6% of the total receiving yards for Alabama. And while you can expect, that to probably go up next year, maybe, I wouldn't really freak out about these guys hitting the transfer portal. Now, when you look at the depth chart here, you got Jehiem Oatis. He could enter the 2025 NFL draft, but as of right now, I probably would not expect that to happen. You also signed Latsier Brooks and Derek Meadows in that 2025 recruiting class. You have Ryan Williams coming back. Hopefully, you should expect to get Jahlil Hurley back. So 1, 2, 3 right there. If you've got Jehiem Oatis, Ryan Williams, and Jahlil Hurley in that rotation next year, I would expect that to be a pretty solid rotation at that wide receiver position. Emmanuel Henderson, a guy that has been waiting his turn for a long time here at Alabama, played a little bit this year. But, maybe he's also a guy that really steps up for Alabama next season and can get a lot of opportunities. You also have Cole Adams returning as well. So as of right now, I'm really not concerned about Alabama's wide receiver room, and they could also go out into the portal and get another wide receiver of their own. So get in the comment section for me right now, guys. Alabama has 10 players so far that are expected to hit the transfer portal. So we're going to set the over-under here at 12.5. Do you expect any more players to hit the portal? Type O for over or U for under. It's the pinned comment of today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down there and type O for over or U for under. All right, let's go into some more guys here. Miles McVay is expected to enter the transfer portal as well. He redshirted last year as a freshman and only played a little bit this year. 94 snaps in total for Alabama, but man, a term that I'm going to use a lot on this video today is depth pieces, and Miles McVay is a prime candidate at that, or for a depth piece for Alabama at that tackle spot, because right now you're really looking thin at that tackle position. Played 66 snaps at left tackle this year and 28 at right tackle. And look, this is just kind of the thing with the transfer portal, right? It's guys that think they probably should start instead of, waiting their turn and developing. They think the grass is greener on the other side. Now, granted, there are also other reasons out there, but man, it really sucks that, you're not losing your best pieces. And a lot of times you're not even losing your worst pieces. I mentioned that on our short yesterday. It's always that next man up, those number twos that really, a lot of the times go into the transfer portal. And at the end of the day, that really does just hurt your depth at the end of the day. Naquil Betrand, also offensive tackle for Alabama. He transferred to Alabama last offseason once Kalen DeBoer came in as Alabama's new head coach, and he played only in one game this year, 28 snaps for him at that left tackle spot. Now, it was reported as well that he's actually been off the roster since mid-October, so why we're hearing about that right now, don't really know, but, like I said, when it comes to when it came to Miles McVay, that's just another depth piece that you're losing. You're also going to be losing Tyler Booker to the NFL draft. You could possibly lose Parker Brailsford to the NFL draft. Still a little small, probably. Might need another year to, really get on the upper end of that second round, possibly even first round. I do think he's one of the best centers in college football right now, which, makes that possibility of going to the NFL draft a little bit more likely. But, like I said, he's still a redshirt sophomore, so technically he could go, but you're also signing guys like Jackson Lloyd, Michael Carroll. Those are definitely your best offensive linemen that you signed in this year's class. You also got Mal Waldrop and Micah DeBose as well, but like I said, when it comes to the transfer portal, it's not usually your best guys that you lose. It's usually those number two pieces who think, the grass is greener on the other side and they can start somewhere else instead of waiting their turn and, developing into solid players. That's, my biggest takeaway anyways for the transfer portal. It really does suck in that aspect. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We will keep you guys updated on all things transfer portal related, whether that's players entering the transfer portal or targets for the Crimson Tide. We'll also be live for Alabama's bowl game coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys are subscribed right now. We'll continue with some more breakdowns of transfer portal entries here for the Crimson Tide in just a minute, but today's show is presented by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature now called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the start of the event. Game Time Picks is also just curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and everything else in between. If you guys want to go to an Alabama basketball game this season, the Crimson Tide are really good on the hardwood this year. I highly recommend going to a basketball game if you can, or if you want to go ahead and get tickets to Alabama's bowl game versus Michigan, you can go ahead and do that on Game Time. Game Time has killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest prices guaranteed. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out GameTime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. So download Game Time today. Because what time is it? It's game time. Going over to the tight end room here, Danny Lewis Jr. is the next player expected to enter the transfer portal for the Crimson Tide. He was a redshirt sophomore this year, didn't, have a lot of production for Alabama. I guess you could say the Crimson Tide really used him more as a blocking tight end. He played in all 12 games this year, but like I said, he only had one reception on the season. And when it comes to your tight end room, you're going to be losing Robbie Utes. He's out of eligibility. Same with C.J. Dupree. He was your top receiving tight end this year, so I would expect Josh Cuevas, the Washington transfer from last year, probably going to be your tight end one next year in terms of receiving yards. Then there's probably going to be a competition there also with Ty Lockwood, Jay Lindsey. You also signed Caleb Edwards and Marshall Pritchett in this year's signing class, so This might also be another position that Alabama goes out into the transfer portal and possibly tries to target somebody, at least just to fill that void at that tight end spot, because like I said, you're going to be losing your top 2 tight ends this year. It's going to put 5 on the roster. You might even want a 6th at the end of the day, but right now, I'm not going to say that's a necessity for Alabama, but it never hurts to add one more player at least to that tight end room. Hunter Osborne on the defensive line. He's also expected to enter the transfer portal. He played in 4 games for Alabama this season, only recorded 3 tackles, and I believe he also had 1 pass breakup as well. But going back to that offensive line conversation, this is another depth piece that you would obviously love to have, going into next season and the next year as well. But, when it comes to that, outlook, he might not be expecting to play, because I know a lot of people out there have talked about Alabama not really recruiting hard in the 2025 class on the defensive line, but you got a lot of bodies there at the end of the day. You are going to be losing Tim Smith. He's out of eligibility. Jamarian Latham is also out of eligibility, so you're going to be losing those guys for sure. Now, Tim Keenan, LT Overton could be guys that go to the NFL draft this year. We're going to have to wait and see on that, but they are eligible. You also did lose Jehiem Oatis to the transfer portal earlier in the season, so definitely probably going to get dinged a little bit along the defensive line, but you also did sign Cavante Henry. Now, whether or not he plays that bandit position for Alabama or the wolf position, still kind of up in the air there. Probably could be a guy that kind of goes back and forth there. Steve Mbamua and London Simmons you also signed in this class, so I'm not really worried about the defensive line right now for Alabama, but like I said, where the transfer portal taketh, it also giveth, so it could be a position that Alabama goes out there and fills that void in the transfer portal at that defensive line spot. So how many players will Alabama get from the transfer portal? It's up in the air right now, but, I definitely think they could go out there and sign a few guys. So let me know your prediction in the comments section of today's video. One more transfer portal target for the Crimson Tide really does seem more likely. We talked about Florida defensive lineman Kelby Collins a couple days ago when he was expected to enter the portal. Now, BamaOnLine of On3 is reporting that he could be a target, a legitimate target for Alabama, coming out here in the transfer portal. His first year, the numbers don't really pop off the screen for you, but the first year, at Florida, he was actually really good. That's where he acquired most of his stats there. He was an SEC all-freshman that first year, but then this year, I think he went from 12 games played in his freshman year down to 6 games played this year, so that kind of sucks there. But Alabama was originally number 2 in his recruitment out of high school. Then Florida came in with a big NIL deal, and he ended up going to Florida. But one thing of note here, Alabama and Florida are both going through finals this week, so he's definitely going to have to finish those out before he really decides if he takes any visits or anything like that. But BamaOnLine also saying if he does end up taking a visit to Alabama, he's already been on campus during that recruiting process out of high school. So, he might take a visit. He might not. If he does, it would probably be at the end of the week there. But like I said, they're doing finals right now. And, Alabama did finish number 2 in that recruiting process for him. So we'll see what happens there. But Kelby Collins, definitely a target on that defensive line that Alabama could be going after in the transfer portal.